Abraham is known as the father of faith. He believed God when there was no reason to believe. He left everything behind to follow God's call. Romans 4 praises his faith, and Hebrews 11 lists him among the heroes. But even Abraham had a moment where compromise entered his life, not through lustful passion, but through the temptation to take control of God's promise by human means. In Genesis 15, God promised Abraham that he would have a son and that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars. Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him as righteousness. But time passed. Sarah remained barren. The waiting grew long. That's when Sarah approached Abraham with a plan. Genesis 16:2 says, "And Sarai said to Abram, 'Behold now, the Lord has prevented me from bearing children. Go into my servant. It may be that I shall obtain children by her.' And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. Instead of holding to God's word, Abraham agreed. He slept with Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian servant. She conceived and gave birth to Ishmael. What began as a practical solution ended in conflict. Hagar looked down on Sarah. Sarah grew bitter. Abraham stood in the middle of a household torn by jealousy and pride. Later, in Genesis 21, God told Abraham to send Hagar and Ishmael away. The separation was painful, but the damage was done. Ishmael and Isaac, though both sons of Abraham, would become the ancestors of nations in conflict for centuries. This wasn't about lust in the traditional sense. It was a different form of temptation. It was the temptation to take control instead of waiting on God, to do things man's way instead of God's way, to compromise obedience in the name of results. Abraham was a man of faith, but in this moment, he listened to a voice that led him into compromise. He went along with something that seemed logical, but it wasn't what God had promised. And yet, God still fulfilled his word. Isaac was born to Sarah in her old age. The son of promise came, not by human effort, but by divine power. Galatians 4 says Ishmael was born according to the flesh, but Isaac was born through promise. That's the difference. One represents man's plan, the other represents God's will. Men, sometimes lust doesn't come in the form of passion. It comes in the form of impatience. It whispers, "You've waited long enough. Take it into your own hands." But when we take shortcuts to God's promises, we bring strife, not blessing. Wait on the Lord. Trust his timing. Don't try to force what only he can do. Obedience is better than strategy. Faith is better than control. If you enjoyed learning about the Bible, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment about what story you want to see next.